Welcome to North Brunswick at a Glance. My name is Luann Benson and I am the host of our session today. And joining me is Jessica Vizthum, a community volunteer and a Boy Scout leader for Troop 18. Welcome, Jessica.
Thanks, Luann, so much for having me.
I appreciate your time coming in today. I know you've had a busy day already at work. Just a small sample of what a volunteer does for our community. I'd like to share with our residents that this session is being brought to you with support from Mayor Francis Mack Womack and the North Brunswick Township Council. And we are going to zero in on community volunteering. And with that information, Jessica, could you share a little bit on how you became involved with community volunteering?
It was maybe a little bit of an accident, but I'm really happy that it happened when my son Charlie was 6. We went to a meet and greet to find out about Cub Scouts in North Brunswick, and they said they really needed somebody to be a leader. And I figured if I was going to be there every week, why not? And it was one of the best choices that I think I've ever made, because Scouting is a wonderful program that lets you do, among other things, a lot of service for your town. So once I started, we built up our volunteering program to something that I think that we're all really pretty proud of with the help of the town. Among other things, we do a food drive for the food bank, we do a warm winter coat drive for Parsons School. A lot of our scouts participate in the Parsons Community Outreach Program, where they do tutoring and ESL work at Parsons, which is pretty terrific. They do, they shovel for senior citizens snow during the winter.
We really count on them for that effort. It is critical to our seniors who can't get out, who are not capable, maybe disabled, and it is critical to get home care into our senior residents. And we're always tapping into your list and calling you, and it's so nice the response and support that you have given to our community with your troop has been just outstanding.
That part in particular has been pretty rewarding. I know for my son and I, we've built up quite a relationship with some of the people in our neighborhood. You know, you live on a street, everybody's busy, you try to take the time to get to know your neighbors, but we have a senior who's just a few blocks away, and now we take the time to stop and say hello and make sure she's doing all right. And it's good for Charlie to get to do that kind of work and get it to be in his routine to take care of the people around him and his community. And so I'm really happy with the way that's turned out. We're pretty lucky.
And we're lucky definitely on the township side. Jessica, how many years do you think from that first meeting that you went to the scouting troop that you have been volunteering with the Scouts?
Well, I've gone all the way through. I started when Charlie was a Tiger Cub Scout at 6, and now he's just about to be 13. So that's 7 years of working with the town where our Scouts can be a part of the community.
Now, can you share some of the reward that comes from volunteering? I know it's a balance because you work a full-time job, you have your son Charlie, and then you do a tremendous amount of volunteering for our community.
Well, so I think one of the best parts is to be in an environment where that's the norm. So I work a full-time job, I work at the Hoagland firm in New Brunswick, but even there, charity is the norm. So every couple of weeks you get an email that somebody's doing a fun run, or somebody's raising money for something in their town, or they're Girl Scouts selling cookies, and so, or you're doing something for Elijah's Promise. And the same then goes for Scouting, right? So these Scouts, they do a community service, some kind of event once a month. So we try to give them as much opportunity as possible to put in community service hours. Now some kids need the hours for Honor Society or other projects that they're doing, but I can tell you that in the 7 years that I've been doing it, I don't think I've ever heard any kids say, oh, do I have to? They go and they love it, and that kind of spirit that you're passing on to your kids, and you get involved too. The parents come, we're gonna do a community cleanup at Veterans Park on Earth Day. And I know all the parents are gonna be there just as much as the kids chipping in, and that, I would say, that spirit of community and giving back on a family level, on a personal level, has been the most rewarding part of doing the service within the Scouts.
Now, I think you touched on a very important part of community volunteering, and it's really the fabric of what North Brunswick is made of. You said this is the norm, and we saw that boldly from all departments and staff members during Storm Sandy. Our mayor, our council members, to our staff members, to our community volunteers. We were out in the streets helping, where we could, as well as setting up stations, serving soup, and just the mayor and the council. I think they set the tone that if everyone just gives a little, this is the passion and the fabric of what our community is made up of. I know this year, moving forward, but as we ended 2014, you were honored at the Dr. Martin Luther King ceremony, which is a very important event to our community. And you received the Community Volunteer. And I have to share with you, Jessica, you really just brushed the surface of what your volunteering has been. You have worked with your troop. You have been at the September 11th ceremony, that is such an important event. You have been at the 5K Memorial Day run. You have been at the ceremony for our veterans. But that particular event, our Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Event, really highlighted your volunteerism along with your troop. And what was that experience like for you?
It was flattering. It was nice, but honestly, I don't think much about the time that I put. You have so many hours in a day, you take care of your family, but it was easy for me to find time to give, even if it's just a couple hours a week. If it's working with Scouts, if it's going someplace and supporting the town, I was impressed that the town took the time to say, hey, thanks. It made me feel good. I know it made the troop feel really good to be honored in that way. And one of the things many things that I like about living here is that the town has this whole infrastructure to make it so easy to do a little. To go to the 5K, to participate in the 9/11 memorial service, to do what you can. Every time I've called and said, hey Luann, is it all right if we, without question, you're there to support us. And with the storm, that work that's there that you put in ahead of time to make it so that in events like that, we can all come together and do what needs to be done. I think I'm glad the town feels lucky to have me, but I feel really lucky to have the town too.
And I think it's the connection of the importance of stepping in and reaching out and becoming involved. And that's what today we really focus with volunteerism and Volunteer Week coming up April 12th to the 18th. For North Brunswick, it's not that small window of time. I think most of us will say it's daily. It's part of our being, our everyday routine. And what I'd like to do is, if you're sitting at home and you're listening to this session, this is a great way to meet other people, become engaged, call us. You have talents that we can use as resources to make a difference for the quality of life for all North Brunswick Township residents. And I think that's what's really important that we're talking about today. This is our community, and we can take ownership and shape it with the leadership of our mayor and council. And I truly believe that everyone has something to add to the spirit of volunteerism, whether you are a youth to an adult. And I would just like to share the number for our department. If you are sitting at home and you're thinking, what am I going to do? Spring is upon us. I have nothing to do. Please reach out and call 732-247-0922. Jessica, I just wanted to give you this pin that I have. And we have given it to many of our volunteers before. And it's really celebrating the volunteer spirit of North Brunswick community. So it's a small token from our mayor and our council, and I hope you can wear that. And that pin signifies, as we look around our town and we start to notice that pin and we see the importance of volunteering, we want to encourage all of our residents. And with our program, and as we close this session, I just wanted to ask Jessica if she could share if there are any scouts out there. How can they become involved with your organization?
Sure. So if you're interested in scouting at any level, I would really encourage you to go to beascout.org and look for our Cub Scout pack and our Boy Scout troop. I can't say enough about the benefit of joining scouting. You know, as a Cub Scout, the kids are working with their families, they're doing Pinewood Derby projects, they're going to the fire department to see the fire trucks and the first aid squad, they're learning about their world, but they're also learning teamwork. And they're learning to work together, and they're learning to be leaders. And then as those Cub Scouts become Boy Scouts, you're really looking at learning. Yeah, it's what you think it is. We do go camping every month, but we also work in community and learning to give back. And we look at leadership. And it's really a Scout-led program when you become a Boy Scout. So they're learning how to organize groups and getting people to follow you and working as a team so that you can accomplish big and little goals. And when you can get to the end and you can be an eagle, that's really impressive to a lot of people, and it opens a lot of doors. But just as much as having that eagle, you have developed a young man who can be direct and can be a leader, and those skills, those life skills, I think are just invaluable.
And we have reaped many of the benefits of the Eagle Scout projects. Recently, we just had an Eagle Scout project completed at the Farrington Lake Dam area, and it was a bridge replacement, and the staff, they've been very busy, especially with spring upon us, and it was completed by an Eagle Scout. So those projects are critical. But I also want to take a moment to thank very much our rescue squad, our firefighters in our community, our senior volunteers that help out at our senior center and our senior ambassador program, the volunteers that work at the food bank. Just without them, we could not do what we do to serve our residents. So in closing, on behalf of our mayor and our council, I thank you for joining our session on volunteering, and I hope you will become engaged. Remember, this is your community. Make it what it can be.